I don't want to see a foot with skin on it.
Eavesdroppin.
Michelle, hello. It's that time of the week again. It's a Wednesday and it's Eavesdroppin' Day.
It is Eavesdroppin' Day. You got Monday,
Plop.
you got Tuesday, you got Eavesdroppin' Day.
And it drops into your inbox like nobody's business. Kaplop.
Plops right in there.
Kasplosh.
I don't mind a plop. A plop.
What?
A plop.
What do you mean?
You know what I mean.
You don't mind a plop. You haven't even introduced yourself, actually.
No, I haven't. And already we're on to
And you've
plops.
said you like a plop.
Let's do it. I'm Michelle.
Oh, I'm Geordie. Hi.
Hi. And you are listening to Eavesdroppin', the comedy podcast. Comedy here.
For the emphasis on comedy.
I know you might not find much comedy in my story today, but we're going to try. We're going to try.
She's just given you a little heads up of what we do. In case you're new here, we tell each other stories because we love to chat, me and Michelle. Oh, God, do we chat?
Chatty
do we?
time.
Chitty chatty all the time, but we're in different countries and we're both from the same country, but now we both live in different countries altogether. That's that. That's the situation that you found us in.
In a nutshell.
And imagine you're in an aeroplane and we're going somewhere fancy and you're in the seat next to us, God help you, or behind or in front, and you're trying to get some shut-eye. And all you can hear is this, oh my God. And that will be us talking. But you know what? You've chosen not to fly with us on Air Eavesdroppin'. You've actually just decided to plug in your earphones or whatever and start listening and being a part of it. You might even shout back. Some people do. It's okay.
They do. Or some people use it to send themselves to sleep. Hi, Jen.
That's her mum, Jen.
She does. But I will say we've had some writing in.
Ooh, we have actually, you're right.
So we have had a message from none other than one half of the gorgeous Beacon twins, Lucy Beacon, who of course responded to the twins part of the episode a couple of weeks back. And she says, hello, lovely. Thanks for the shout out. I loved the twin episode, obviously.
Of course you did. Yeah.
Now, like I said, she and her gorgeous sister, Jane, they're twins, identical twins, no less. And she said, I thought I'd just let you know about these two who grew up just around the corner from where we grew up in York.
Oh, yes.
These twins, they had a huge effect on me and Jane because the Chaplin twins walked past our primary school nearly every day. So all the kids at school believed twins equal weird.
Aww.
Then she put a link to a documentary about these twins.
Yeah.
And they did a little bit of the whole twinnies talking in unison. And they look like Russian ladies from the Gulag. You know, they've got kind of...
I'd say, yeah, like, oh, yeah, that look.
Kerchiefs.
I know that look.
Kerchiefs over their head.
Kerchief,
I don't
yes.
know. Yes, yes. And long red dresses. They dress identically. Anyway, she says, me and Jane were never allowed to dress the same because of them. I watched the documentary about them recently, and I found out that once they left York, they moved to East London. They lived just north of Victoria Park.
No. But is that where the Beacons live?
The twins have followed the twins, or the other way round.
Oh.
Anyway, she said, once I watched a documentary, I realised that they were just really quick at copying each other, in my non-expert opinion, she says. With them, it was an attention-seeking thing. And if you watch the documentary, you'll hear that they speak in such a broad York accent that for Londoners it would have been unintelligible.
Broad York.
Anyway, hope all's well, sending love is what she says.
Oh, how lovely. Thank you, Lucy.
Twin things, I find it so fascinating.
I think we should pin the twins, pin them to the wall.
Because there is something.
Do another.
People find twins strange.
Yeah.
Weren't there twins in The Shining?
Yes.
Yes. See, people find twins a little unnerving.
And they spoke in unison, I believe, as well. Yeah. Twin Peaks. That's weird.
Yes. But thank you. Thank you so much, Lucy, for writing in.
I have a barrel of television recommendations from our eavesdroppers and some little comments here and there as well. Shall I let you know who's been in touch?
Yes, please. I love a good telly rec because I did receive one
Yeah.
from Jen.
Oh, what was it?
What is it? Black Rabbit.
Oh.
It's meant to be very good.
Okay. No more on that. Just the name and that's it. Where do we find it? We don't know. What's it about? We don't know.
So it's got Jude Law and Jason Bateman in it.
Oh, I love him.
I love Jason Bateman, and he looks fucking hot. I'm telling you right now.
There's something about him.
It says here, first thing that comes up on the whole like AI overview, Black Rabbit review from The Guardian. It's almost impossible to care about Jude Law and Jason Bateman in this.
Oh. Whoops.
2 actors play brothers dragged into danger by gangsters, but are too stupid or poorly sketched for you to sympathise with them. Okay, all right. Well, I'm going to give it a go when I've got time.
All right.
Red hot.
Let me know if it's shit. And I won't watch it otherwise. So I've got a message here from Charlene Happy Chappy. It's been some time. Charlene's done some research in the past. She's brilliant at that, but she also likes to watch television. And she watched Unknown Number, The High School Catfish on Netflix. She said she smashed it in an afternoon and it was really good with a great twist at the end. Who doesn't love a twist?
You and I actually discussed this because I said, oh, let's do it. And then I said, oh, no, it's done to death now because it's all over Netflix and everyone's talking about it. And yes, there is a twist at the end.
Oh, have you watched it, did you say? Sorry.
Oh, no, I just listened to all the other podcasts about it.
All right. So I've also had a lot of messages from Tamira, but I can't share those with you because she's sending me some ideas for future episodes. Thank you, Tamira, the modern mystic.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you, Tamira.
Also, I've got some things posted to me. A lot of things being posted to me on the social medias. This is from Jannica from Amsterdam about 2-year-olds saying, I remember changing your nappy, Dad.
Yes.
Do you remember we've done some episodes about reincarnation?
Yes, we have. Yes.
There's a lot of that on my social medias. Do you know they've changed the algorithm so you don't get the feed that you ask for anymore?
Right.
They are leaning full into the data mining and just showing you what you think you need. And luckily for me, it's talking animals and Key and Peele. So I'm really happy with that.
Yes.
Then I got something from Safka. She has recommended quite a bit. What have we got here? She has been watching The Kemps All Gold, BBC comedy documentary. I've seen that. It's great. There's 2 parts to it, actually. They've done another one. And then she has suggested Raconteurs with Gary Kemp and Guy Pratt. I think that's a podcast.
Oh, okay. Raconteurs.
If you do go over to Raconteurs and listen, just say where you heard us talking about it. They might even give us a shout out. Gary Kemp.
Oh, wouldn't that be
giving
something?
You freebies here, sitting on a park bench to cut a long story short.
I know.
So then she recommends, she said, I don't recommend it for you because she knows I'm a bit of a scaredy cat, but Monster, Ed Gein on Netflix is excellent. Oh. We've done a story on Ed Gein. You've talked about it, nipples on the end of...
Yes, and lampshades made of
pools.
Human skin.
Blah.
All of those things. Can I go there? I'm not sure.
It's by those people who do American Horror Story.
Yes. Okay. Oh, God.
And then there's a few Ozzy Osbourne documentaries. The first one is Coming Home. I've seen it advertised. I'm not yet ready to look at that, but I will at some point. I think there was a bit of overkill when Ozzy died, so I just want to have a little break before I dip back into the Ozzy pool. And then we had a comment from the Midlifers because we mentioned them a couple of weeks ago. She says, this is from Mez from the Midlifers. She said, well, actually, she sent me a gorgeous message saying that she was really enjoying it and thanks for the shout out and other things she said as well. But that's just between me and her, so mind your own beeswax.
Don't be eavesdropping on that.
Don't be eavesdropping because it was a voice note. There was something else I wanted to say. Oh, yes, Halloween. Halloween is coming up. And so is our Patreon drop coming up soon. I have fan tales ready from one eavesdropper, actually. I said previously there would be a couple, but there's only one so far, unless I find another one to contribute. However, I'm going to be recommending via Reese Shearsmith, the intriguing writer, comedy actor, and current contestant on Taskmaster, his 31 Days of October scary films. He's got some rip snorters and I want to share them with you, but I'm only going to do it over on Patreon.
Oh, wonderful.
Some people will know if they follow Reese Shearsmith on the social medias, but I follow him and I find it fascinating, and I have actually Googled a few of his films that he's recommended.
Yes.
I can't watch them. There's no way.
Too scary. Too scary. I'm too old to be so scared. I don't want to be so scared. But I will tell you, do you remember maybe last week or the week before, I can't remember, I said to you about this Steve Carell series I was watching called The Patient, and I was like, I'm not sure if it's an anti-rec. Well, Andreas loves to push through a series, and actually it ended up being pretty good and a little disturbing. So
I don't mind disturbing.
Yes, I think you would find this very interesting because he has to have supervision with his counsellor who's dead. So it's actually, he's really getting supervision from himself in his mind while he is trapped.
Well, he can't log those hours.
No, you can't log those hours. So I think you would find it very interesting. So, yes. I mean, there's a few episodes where I thought, skip this one. In general, yes.
It's called again? I know you keep saying
Patient.
it. The Patient.
It's gone from anti-rec to, probably a rec.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to watch it.
So all of this talk of Rex. I did listen to a different podcast.
Oh.
Look, the thing is, I do so much cleaning. I'm fucking always got a mop in my hand. So I'm always listening to a podcast. And I listened to a great one called Noble.
Okay.
And it was very upsetting. And I wanted to discuss it.
A daytime pod, not one for the bedtime nodding off?
No. Because this pod, it raised so many questions about how the living treat the dead. And I know that we've talked in the past about what happens to your body after you die and what would you want done with your body after you die. And I've always said I wouldn't be cremated because I do not want a hole in the ground. I don't want my meat suit to be a rotting corpse. I know you love that term. I said that for you. Because, cremation just seems like a nice little neat, tidy process, right? You die, you get burned, your ashes get put in a little urn or scattered.
Then you go somewhere windy and you throw it to the breeze and it comes back and hits you in the face, and then you've got a tooth in your mouth that's not yours.
And it feels a bit greasy, that whole thing with the
all
ashes.
Of that.
So when I listened to the story on the Noble podcast, Geordie, I felt fucking sick.
Ooh.
So, trigger here. Put down the sandwich because this is a juice
Pop
dropper.
down the cream puff.
Yes,
okay.
Exactly.
Now that's a sweet ride.
Juice dropper.
Now that's a sweet ride.
Juice dropper.
I'm confused.
Don't drop your juice. Juice dropper. Carrot sticks to the side.
Oh, God. Everything. Even my stomach is churning thinking about this story. Anyway.
God, Michelle, how am I going to cope?
You'll be all right. So this story starts in October 2000 when a guy called Gerald
Vintage.
Cook, vintage. Gerald was a driver for a gas company in northwestern Georgia. And he was given some delivery jobs for the day, and one of them was delivering propane to a crematorium that was not on his usual schedule because apparently the driver who normally went there didn't want to go. He said he was too scared. He said the crematorium made him feel creepy. Yeah. So Gerald said, all right, I'll do the delivery. Went there, turned into this driveway, and he knew it was the right driveway because it had an engraved headstone that said Tristate Crematory. So why have a street sign when you can just have a headstone?
Some sort of like jokester.
I know
thinking it would be cute.
Not cute to me. He drove down this long driveway past the family home of the Marshes, who lived on the property because there were the parents who used to run the business, who had a house on the property, but now the son ran it. And when Gerald got to the end of the driveway, he saw 3 small buildings, and he couldn't help but notice that the crematorium looked kind of shit, like really run down, not well maintained. But more than that, he just saw junk everywhere, including things like old hearses and caskets. And he thought, fuck, no wonder this other guy thought this was creepy. But Gerald, he just wanted to get on with the job. So he got out of the truck and he went looking for the propane tank that he had to fill up. So he walked behind a building And that's when he saw something that was really fucking disturbing. He saw bones piled up. And this is a quote. He said, there was human body parts and feet and skin.
Oh, no.
I just remember a foot with skin and stuff still on it.
Oh, God.
I mean, he could not really believe what he was seeing. He just couldn't process it.
I can't process it.
No, I don't want to see a foot with skin on it. Just a foot. He heard a voice saying, gas man, gas man.
Don't go there, go here.
Yeah.
Look away.
And it was the son who runs the crematorium, Brent Marsh. So Gerald, he got a bit freaked out and he thought, I need to play dumb here, like I haven't seen anything. So he was like, hey, and he filled up the tank and then he got the fuck out of there. And then he went to his boss and told him what he'd seen. And his boss was like, okay, and went to the local sheriff to report it.
Good.
But the sheriff thought, it's a crematorium. Of course there are dead bodies there. Yeah. So he just sent a couple of deputies there who didn't look around, just sort of went there, had a word to Brent, and that was that. Until a year later, when Gerald was asked to make another delivery of propane to the crematorium. And this time he thought, fuck, I don't want to go, but I got to go. Went there, saw a decomposing body just lying on the ground.
God.
And again, Gerald was fucking freaked out. But this time, instead of telling his boss what he saw, he told his aunt, who worked for the FBI.
Oh, good.
And instead of going to the police, who obviously didn't do anything the first time round, she went to the Environmental Protection Agency and made up this story about, I was walking my dog in the woods near the crematorium and he found a bone, think it might be human.
Oh.
So they were like, fuck. Okay, because there's also a river and a lake. So they were like, okay.
Sheesh. Yeah.
Yes. So they immediately sent this guy called Robin Hedden out to investigate because maybe there was some kind of environmental hazard going on. They didn't go directly to the crematorium. Instead, they accessed the Marshes' property through the woods and they found a human skull.
Yuck. Oh.
And they were freaked out because they were like, fuck, this is bigger than us. If this is really what's going on here, this is bigger than the Environmental Protection Agency. So they call 911. And pretty soon, the local sheriffs and a coroner turn up, along with a guy called Greg Ramey, who was an investigator for the Georgia Bureau of Investigations. Now, he knew the Marshes, and he actually always thought, yeah, when I die, I'm going to be cremated by Tristate.
Oh.
And at first, Greg thought this skull was just a wind-up because it was his birthday and he thought his colleagues were pranking him.
Oh, God, no. So he picked it up and stuck it in his bag.
Went, look
Put it
at
on
me.
his hand, made a puppet out of it.
Oh, my God. So he was a bit like not really believing that this was a real thing. But as he explored the grounds, he found more bones in the woods. And they were little ones, just fingers and toes. And he thought, oh, these could be chicken bones. Who knows? But then the coroner that's with them spots something in the trees. And it's a cardboard box that's 6 feet long. So they go over and they lift up the cardboard. And they see this little old black man lying in the box.
No.
He's partially mummified.
Oh, no.
But he's turning white because he's going moldy.
No.
And then the man's suit starts moving.
Oh, God.
And a mouse runs out of his sleeve. And this, Geordie, is when all of them are like, what the actual fuck is going on here? This is a house
of horrors. I have a question? It's probably too early to start asking questions, but where are the families wondering where the hell their urns full of their ashes are? If they're just being dumped left,
Nelly.
right and centre.
Hold your horses.
I'll hold my horses.
Hold those freaking horses because it's all coming. So they were like, fuck, we got to go and speak to Brent. And Brent is actually a young black guy who apparently is built like a brick shit house. He's standing there when they go. So there's like the coroner, the police, everyone. He's standing there and apparently he looked like a deer in the headlights.
Uh-oh.
He looks scared. So they say, okay, Brent, come on, open up the crematorium buildings. And he does. No hesitation. And that is when Greg Ramey sees bodies every fucking where.
What?
Everywhere, Geordie. Some are dressed. Some are undressed. All of them, obviously, in various stages of decomposition.
It must have stank.
Fucking terrible. Apparently the stench was off the scale.
Oh, God.
Skeletons everywhere. Bones everywhere. Littering every bit of like floor space and surface. And really disturbing for Greg, there were bodies there of people he knew.
No.
Yes.
Oh, God.
So at this point, he's like, this is not a fucking wind-up. This is not a birthday prank.
It was only that point that he realised?
Well, I mean, I'm sure he thought...
He'd already opened up the mouldy man.
Yeah, that's true. The mouldy man. I'm sure at that point he's like, no. But...
Oh, God.
Everyone is just bewildered and fucking shocked and freaked out. And Greg, who knows the Marsh family from around town, was like,
yeah,
Brent, what is going on? Because Brent wasn't saying or doing anything. No arguing, no pleading, no trying to get out of it, no explaining, nothing. He did seem to know, though, that he'd been caught.
Yeah.
And the thing is, he was not arrested right away. They actually said, listen, just go back to your house and we'll figure out how to proceed here, because they didn't know what to charge him with.
Yeah.
And the thing is, they knew him because the Marsh family, who were black, and they had been in Noble since the days of slavery. And they were an extremely well-known and very well-respected family in the community. And they had owned and operated the Tristate Crematory for more than 20 years when Brent's dad, Ray, realised there was a need for a crematorium. He's a savvy businessman. So he was like, I'm going to start one up. And they were very successful. And Clara, who was Ray's wife and Brent's mum, she was apparently this very tough lady, but a beloved high school English teacher. So people knew them in town. There was also Brent's sister. She is not named in this podcast, who is called Lashea or Lachey. And she apparently is a funeral director in Chattanooga.
So it's a family business.
Yeah, so they've all kind of gone into this.
Yeah.
And then there's Brent, who, before he left, I'm going to say it, hundreds of bodies to rot on this property.
Hundreds?
He was actually a deacon in training who'd played football in high school. He was known just to be this really lovely guy.
Right.
But it seems that 5 years earlier, Ray Marsh had had a stroke.
His dad?
Yes. And Brent had to leave college to take over the business, presumably at the behest of his family.
So it wasn't really his choice?
No, I don't think, dead bodies were his bag.
Yeah, well, clearly.
Yeah. And that's when it all started going wrong. Like I said earlier, when officials sort of started to realise the scale of what was going on here, they were freaked out and also confused, because the sheer number of abandoned and decaying bodies presented this situation that was absolutely unprecedented. And they were scrapping around to find a law that he'd broken, because, yes, it was fucked up and he did have to be charged with something. But at that time, there were no state laws that specifically prohibited the desecration of corpses that had not been buried.
Right.
The officials at the beginning were like, what can we charge him with?
Yeah.
Because it's not like he killed anyone. The bodies were already dead. So officials initially charged Brent with a few counts of theft by deception. And when I was listening to the podcast, I thought, what about fraud?
Yeah.
Because he's being paid to cremate these bodies and he didn't do it.
Yeah.
People were not getting the service that they paid for at a bare minimum here. But one thing this podcast does really well is kind of make you look at how we treat the dead and what our obligations are. Because as a society, and culturally too, we treat dead bodies like they're precious. And in some cultures, like they're sacred. We wash them and we dress them and we put makeup on them. We have viewings. But it's not really the person that we loved. It's their body. On the other hand, we're revolted by dead bodies.
Yeah.
By the way they look, the way they smell, there's fluids coming out of them, maggots if they're already been buried. So for me, I think that's the rub. We see a dead body, it's kind of revolting. And in fact, Gerald, the gas man, he apparently almost vomited when he saw that pile of bones with the skin still on the foot.
Yeah.
But more than just feeling sick to his stomach, I mean, he was also concerned that the bodies weren't being treated properly.
Right. He could see that with his own eyes, I'm sure.
Well, yeah.
Something didn't sit right.
So on that first day, officials counted 40 bodies. And by the time the count stopped, months later, the official count was 339 bodies.
Holy Toledo.
But there are people who think there are hundreds more that were figuratively swept under the carpet because the funding for the recovery and identification of these bodies dried up.
Oh.
There's no more money being put into it. So they were like, yep, 339. That's it. That's where we'll stop. So like me, you're probably thinking, what the fuck is going on here?
Yes.
And I'm going to go on a little bit of a tangent here so we have an overview. So apparently it takes approximately 106 litres of fuel to burn a human body.
All right.
Which in Brent's case, he was using propane.
Yeah.
So you have to get the cremator to at least 1600 degrees before you can put the body in to burn, because it's at this temperature that we basically vaporize. You know, the skin, the fat, the tissue, it all goes.
Yeah.
Except the bones. They stay behind. And it takes around 3 hours per body to get to that stage in the cremator. Then you have to take the bones and they get ground up in this big industrial grinder, blender kind of thing.
Oh, fucking hell, Michelle.
I know.
I didn't know this.
I know. And then what's left is more like coarse sand.
Yeah.
Not the powder we think of as ashes. And even then, bits of the person who was cremated, first in like the oven, gets in the cracks.
Huh?
Because it's so hot in those ovens, there's cracks everywhere.
Right.
So there's bits of body and ash. So it's all what the industry call commingled. Yes.
Yeah.
You know, so these ashes are commingled with whoever was burned in there before. So it is a bit of an illusion, really, that we end up neatly in an urn, ready to be popped under a rose bush or scattered or whatever.
Yeah.
And it turns out the Tristate Crematory for years had done a great job at cremating bodies from 3 different states. And then they didn't. And that day, what investigators uncovered at Tristate wasn't just negligence. It was fucking horror.
Yeah.
Because hundreds of bodies that were meant to have been cremated were lying, rotting in sheds, rotting in ravines. There were mass dug-out graves, pits in the forest.
In the forest?
Yes.
Could he not afford to put the flames on or something? Or was he just not trained properly?
For me, I feel like he didn't want that job.
No.
I think he got overwhelmed because after Ray had had that stroke, apparently a few people at the crematorium had resigned.
Right. They didn't like working for him.
Well, I don't know. Or maybe it just wasn't like it was with the dad.
Right.
And it did fall to Brent Marsh to man up and take over this family business. So he was essentially a one-man operation.
Ooh.
And Geordie, his job was really fucking hard because
Yeah.
he had to pick up corpses from funeral homes in 3 states.
Yeah.
He had to cremate them and return the ashes. And he didn't charge much money for it, which is why everyone was like really happy to send all their bodies to Tri-State, because then the funeral homes could charge more money and make money on, okay, for example, just say Brent charges $200 to cremate a body, they'll charge a family $1,200.
Right.
So it's more profit for them to use Tri-State because they were cheaper.
So he's picking up the bodies after the funeral.
Yes.
And taking it back to chuck in the oven.
Chuck in the oven. Yep. And then he takes the ashes back.
Or not.
Well.
What's he taking back?
Well, that's the thing. I'll get to that. Because not only was he doing this, he was also renting out like tents and chairs for weddings and funerals. And he was setting them up and packing them down. So he's doing a lot.
Yeah.
And as I listened to the podcast, I did feel like this guy is not just, some sick freak who just didn't give a fuck. I don't think this was malicious that he just had all these bodies literally rotting everywhere. I think he just got overwhelmed.
Yeah, sounds like it.
I think he fell behind I think he got so far behind that there was just no way to catch up.
Yeah.
And so he just kept going as best as he could.
He didn't have any help.
And he didn't ask any help. Yeah, exactly. Because how could he ask for help once there are bodies piled up? Then he would have to admit what was going on. But you said to me, well, what's in these urns? Cement dust. He knew he had to provide something. So he was grinding up cement and putting cement dust in urns.
Oh.
When this broke on the news, people were like, oh my God, re-traumatized all over again, because they realized that their deceased loved one wasn't in the urn as they thought, but was instead rotting under a tarp in a hole in the woods, or at the bottom of one of 8 mass graves, or in the lake, or piled up in an outhouse. It's really grisly.
In the lake. I mean, that's disgusting.
I know.
Polluting the water, the ecosystem, the water table.
And they talk about this one lady called Sheila Manners, and the podcast Noble tells her story beautifully. She sounds like just a really nice, warm person. She talks about her late husband, Ira, who died from Huntington's disease. Before he died, he said, cremate me and scatter my ashes in Fort Mountain, because he said there were too many cemeteries taking up space for the living. So he thought, this is a great way to go. You know, he got cremated. She was given this black plastic box, smaller than a shoebox, full of Ira's ashes. And her and the kids drove to Fort Mountain, scattered his remains into the wind. And she thought, okay, I've done everything he wanted. A year and a half later, her neighbour knocked on the door and said, have you seen the news? And at first Sheila brushed it off because she was like, oh, Ira got cremated in Atlanta. It's nowhere near Noble. But then she thought, better check his death certificate. And there it was. Ira had been cremated at Tristate, and she was devastated because she'd spent months, years, visiting that mountain, taking a rose and a cup of coffee to drink with Ira. And she said, quote, to think I'd been doing that over a pile of cement. And she said, it's the biggest betrayal I've ever felt, not just for me, but for him.
I know.
So she jumped in the car and drove to Noble, and she wasn't the only one. The property was full of hundreds of grieving, angry people wanting to know what the fuck had happened to their loved ones. And that's when the DNA collection began. So officials were trying to make matches between the body parts that had been found and trying to match them up with the correct family, because none of the bodies were labelled, Geordie. And in a massive effort to identify the remains, federal disaster teams were brought in. And these were people who'd worked on body identification from ground zero and tsunamis and hurricanes. And they were just looking at these bodies. Some were fresh, some were skeletonized, some were half burnt.
Half burnt.
And the thing is that many bodies did remain unidentified. They were also angry because it turns out the law was so inadequate. And like I said, desecration of corpse wasn't even a crime at that point. So prosecutors charged Brent with theft by deception, which is basically lying for money. So the upshot here is Brent was arrested on over 300 criminal violations and was ultimately charged by the state of Georgia with 787 counts, including theft by deception, abusing a corpse, burial service-related fraud, and giving false statements. And he pleaded guilty, and he got 12 years in prison and 75 years of probation. So he can't fuck up again. And on June 29th in 2016, he was released from prison after serving his absolute full 12-year sentence. And he's now a pastor, and he leads a very quiet life. He's put it all behind him. And he has never spoken about why he did it. And he says he never will.
Wow.
And I think not having an explanation is what is hardest for the families who thought they did the right thing by their loved one and ended up in a horror show.
That's crazy. Do you know what, Michelle? I actually went to something called a funeral club not long ago. Yeah, as a counsellor. Okay. I turned up to a funeral club because a lady that I know has become a... What do you call it when they do services and things, like a MC? Not the MC. What do you call them?
Oh,
you know that word for somebody who
master of ceremonies. It is like an MC.
Not master of ceremonies. There's another word for it. Like they deliver funerals and weddings.
Oh,
celebrant. She's a celebrant.
Do celebrants do funerals?
I believe so. I think
okay.
that's the right word. I'm not 100% sure. But I learned a lot of things because also who was there was a place called Poppy's Funerals, which is in London, and they do green funerals. They're independent. And they were showing us all these kind of different types of things that you could be buried in, which is like a mushroom cardboard, but there was mushroom impregnated so that you would just kind of mingle with that and be buried with that and kind of mingle with it and become part of the ecosystem. But they did say that it's not a good idea if you wanted to have a special rose bush with granddad in it. You know, this is granddad's rose bush quite literally. Well, they said that you shouldn't do that because of the alkalines and the acids and the different kind of chemical compounds. You shouldn't do it. And I've just looked it up and it said untreated cremation ashes disrupt the sensitive chemical and biological balance of soils that will cause lasting damage to soil and plant health. And scattering ashes which are untreated also create other environmental issues such as salinity, eutrophication and acidity. I'm not going to tell you what eutrophication is because I can't be bothered. But they did say, you know, you kind of shouldn't be throwing it in rivers and lakes and whatnot.
But what are untreated ashes?
I don't know.
How do you yeah, okay. Very interesting.
But it sounds like it's a lot.
It does.
And it's not necessarily the
eco way to do it.
The eco way to do it, exactly.
I mean, I always think about that with poop bags for dogs.
Well, we get the ones that are made of, you know, the ones that you use for vegetable scraps that are made of vegetable gum. So
at least they're biodegradable, yes.
Or we just leave the poo.
I should have said this at the beginning of the episode. This whole thing was, I was going to call this episode Shoulda, Woulda, Didn't, or Shoulda, Coulda, Didn't. Because this guy, he should have buried the bodies, could have, well, not buried them, should have burnt the bodies, could have burnt the bodies, didn't. And that's where he ended up. So that's how I'm tying it all back into the little bow of shoulda, coulda, didn't.
That's great. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you
right.
for that story. So there you go. Where do you go? There you go. So there you go.
There you go.
And Michelle, thank you for telling everybody that there was a theme this week. Shoulda, coulda, woulda, doulda. What?
Shoulda, coulda, didn't.
Shoulda, coulda, didn't. Now, that's not what you told me. You said it was against my better judgment. So my story today is kind of loose.
Okay.
Under the theme of shoulda, coulda, didn't.
Okay.
But it still does relate when you've changed the title. Thank you. So today I'm going to take you to Northern Virginia. Yes, we're still in the United States.
Okay.
I have a tawdry tale that unfolded in 2023 when a 37-year-old man named Brendan Banfield decided that rather than divorce his wife Christine, he'd just take her out of the picture permanently.
Oh, God. Okay. One of these husband killing the wife situations.
At the time, they were living in $1 million home with their 4-year-old daughter and the family's live-in Brazilian au pair, 24-year-old Juliana Perez Magalhães, and I don't know how to pronounce that, so I'm just going to call her Juliana from now on. Magalhães, I think it is. I'm not sure. But Juliana wasn't just looking after their kid. As you can imagine, I've already said she's 24 and she's Brazilian. Exactly.
Yep.
She was having a full-blown affair with Banfield since August 2022 for a whole year almost.
Honestly, it's a tale as old as time, fucking the nanny. Come on.
Tales as old as time. During their entanglement, Juliana and Brendan Banfield went on a trip to New York City together and had snapped selfies of them in romantic poses. Basically, this guy, though, he had form because it later transpired that other women had been in extramarital affairs with Brendan Banfield, including one lady who said that during the course of their affair a few years before, Banfield would constantly promise to leave his wife, and eventually he told her, it would be so much easier for us if she was not around.
Right.
So she's holding this shagger back.
Yes.
What a dick.
And she's the mother of a 4-year-old. Come on.
4-year-old, exactly. So no surprises, though, that the au pair and Shagger Banfield, as I've decided to call him, came up with a dastardly plan together. For months before they carried out this plan, Brendan Banfield prepared the scene by installing soundproof windows at the house.
Oh my God.
That's dark, right?
Did he just say, we need triple glazing now? Too cold.
Yeah.
Well, he's got money if he's got $1 million house. So.
He's got $1 million house. Yeah, he's got the money to throw at it. Yeah, we need triple glazing. what's even darker is that he got the au pair, Juliana, to test them by standing outside the bedroom while he shouted, and she was checking for sound leakage.
Oh, my God. So she's fully on board with this plan.
She's in there.
Not nice.
So now the stage is set for the perfect murder. There's a plan. And I suppose you're wondering, what is that plan? Well, here's where it gets a bit darker, Michelle. Brendan Banfield set up a fake profile on something called FetLife, which is a BDSM and fantasy hookup site, pretending to be his wife, Christine.
Okay.
FetLife is a bit different to other similar sounding BDSM and kink hookup sites because it's more of a social networking site than a, looking for like a dating site. It's more of a social network, like Facebook for fetish fans. And it actually started as something called Friends with Fetishes.
Okay.
For those who don't know, Brendan posed as his wife Christine and posted about a rape fantasy and lured in an unsuspecting stranger to play along with this fantasy. And it worked because Christine, in inverted commas, got a response from a 39-year-old man by the name of Joseph Ryan. And he, of course, Joseph Ryan, thought he was chatting away for weeks with Christine. But of course it wasn't her, it was Brendan and the naughty au pair.
Right. I can see where this is going. Oh, no.
Doesn't bode well, Michelle, does it?
No.
So posing as Christine, they told Joseph Ryan that she would enjoy rape fantasies and part of the game would be that Christine would resist and scream and act terrified. And over the weeks, they planned to meet up to enact this fantasy for Christine. Mm-hmm. This guy thought he was doing her a favour.
Yeah.
Something that they would both enjoy.
Well, friends with fetishes.
Friends with fetishes. But unfortunately for Ryan, he'd been groomed to walk straight into a trap.
Yep.
A deadly one at that. So on February 24th, 2023, Ryan arrived at the Banfield home with a knife, thinking he was about to take part in a planned consensual role play. But their disgusting plan, the Banfield and Juliana's disgusting plan, was for Ryan to attack Christine as a part of the fantasy, and then Brandon would swoop in as the hero and kill them both, claiming he acted in self-defense.
Oh, my God.
So he's already brought another person into it. He's got no regard for life whatsoever.
No. Happy to kill a stranger.
Exactly, just to get what he wants when he could have just divorced his wife.
It would have cost a little bit of money, but that's all right.
Sounds like he's got some. Anyway, Christine was alone that day in the house. She was asleep in the bedroom without her mobile phone because Banfield and Juliana had hidden it in the kitchen. Brendan Banfield had faked going off to work because he worked as a law enforcement agent for the IRS, which is the tax department in America. But actually, instead, he went to a nearby McDonald's to wait for a call from I think either Christine or Juliana. I'm not 100% sure.
It would have to be Juliana because Christina doesn't have her phone.
Yeah. So at some point, Ryan comes in. Christine answers the door. And at some point, the upshot is, quite literally, that she's stabbed and Ryan was shot.
Oh, my God.
And Juliana and Brendan Banfield were there, calling 911.
Shit.
So once police arrived at the Banfields' home, they found, as I said, Ryan fatally shot and Christine was suffering from stab wounds. She was still alive, though. She was taken to hospital where she died shortly after. Rest in peace.
Oh, my God.
Juliana told police that she had left the house that morning to take their kid to the zoo, but after realizing that she'd left their lunches behind, she returned to the house. And she said she left the child in the basement after she and Brendan Banfield heard what sounded like an intruder. So they then entered the house and discovered Christine was being attacked. They reported to the police that they found Ryan holding a knife to Christine's throat. So Banfield grabbed his work service gun because he would have been issued one as a law enforcement guy for IRS for whatever reason. I mean, I'm glad I live in England. I'm sure the tax guys don't carry guns here.
No, Jesus, they don't even have pepper spray.
No. So he grabbed his work service gun and shot and injured Ryan. He told police that he then asked Juliana to grab another gun and shoot this guy again, which she did, and that shot allegedly killed Ryan.
Oh, my God. What, she had just had a random gun there?
Well, I think that they must have...
Sounds fishy.
Most American families have a gun in the house. So I think he was indicating that it was a family gun, if you know what I mean.
Okay.
Investigators said they found no evidence of forced entry and described the scene at the home as horrific and appalling.
Oh, God.
And they were right to be dubious about this dodgy pair's version of events. And they would then make several visits to the house in the intervening months just to get to the bottom of this quite unusual situation.
Yeah.
On one of those visits, they even noticed that the little girl started calling Juliana Mummy.
No.
Or Mommy.
Oh,
Mommy.
no.
Yeah. Eventually, though, Michelle, it got too much for the murderous nanny, and this is my coulda, woulda, didn't moment, but she did confess to police only like a year and a half later, mind you.
Yeah, with 2 dead people.
Yeah, she's 24 years old.
Yeah, well, she's fucked. Well, what did she think was going to happen?
I know.
Happily ever after?
Well, eventually, Juliana told investigators the truth, and that was that she took the couple's 4-year-old daughter to a car under the pretense that they were going to the zoo. But in fact, she had a concealed gun that Brendan Banfield had given her that morning, and they stayed there until they saw Ryan enter the house with a knife and restraints. And she said, that's when Brendan had instructed me before, as soon as I see the guy's car, for me to call him right away. And that's what I did. So then she called Christine Banfield's hidden phone. So then she called Brendan Banfield. He arrives. He and the nanny enter the house with the 4-year-old girl through the back basement door and left the little girl there as they went to the first floor. Brendan Banfield then went to the couple's bedroom with his gun drawn and announced himself as law enforcement with Juliana behind him. Now, you can only imagine what had happened up until then because you've only got these people's testimony.
Yes.
So I'm assuming that Ryan had entered the house. Christina said, I don't know why you're here. He was like, yeah, okay, lady.
Yeah.
This is what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And she would have resisted. He would have thought nothing more of it.
Yeah.
Etc.
Exactly.
Then they walk into the bedroom and Juliana said that Joseph Ryan was on top of Christine Banfield, who yelled at her husband, Brendan, saying, Brendan, he has a knife. So immediately Banfield then shot Ryan in the head. And according to Juliana, Christine said, why did you do that? Call 911.
Right.
Then Juliana did that. She called 911 but hung up before saying anything because Brendan Banfield gestured to her to get off the phone shortly after she connected with the dispatcher.
Right.
So I don't know what was going on in his mind, but he's controlling the situation.
Yes, he is. And badly.
So then Juliana told prosecutors that she saw Banfield take Ryan's knife and stab his wife in the neck.
Oh my God, he did it.
He did it. Of course he did.
Oh my God.
Ryan was never going to hurt Christina. He was just, or Christine, I can't remember. Yeah, Christine. He was just there to act out a rape fantasy.
Oh, he just wanted to get his end away.
Yeah, because he thought it was consensual.
This is shocking. What a fucking waste of life here.
I know, it's horrific. Juliana said he was stabbing her and she was just telling him, let me go. I'm going to die anyways. I'm going to bleed to death. She was just, leave me here, let me die. And he was telling her, I can't. I don't know why he said, I can't. These are Juliana's words. Christine Banfield was stabbed multiple times in different parts of her body. He went to town by the sound of it, and apologies for those I didn't give a trigger warning to. I'm so sorry. Joseph Ryan, however, was still moving after the gunshot to his head, according to Juliana, and Brendan Banfield told her to shoot Ryan again.
This story.
It's a lot, right?
Yeah.
She claims Banfield then manipulated the crime scene, including putting his wife's blood on Ryan's arms and hands. So he was getting dirty.
He was right in there.
Yeah. So then in October 2023, Fairfax County Police arrested Juliana Perez and charged her with Ryan's murder. Over the next year, Banfield remained free until police arrested him in September 2024 and charged him with 4 counts of aggravated murder.
Yeah, so he should be charged. He stabbed her. He organised this.
He did. And it was her testimony that put him away. And I think there's a lot of stuff that went on in the intervening time between him getting arrested. She was probably in jail waiting trial. But she was offered a deal from prosecutors to testify against Brendan in exchange for a manslaughter conviction with a much shorter jail sentence. And this is interesting, Michelle, because I didn't realise this when I was looking into it. But Banfield was due to be in court in February this year. But the case was pushed back to October 2025. So that is in a week or so's time.
Oh, my goodness.
Maybe even around the time this episode comes out.
Right.
So we will have to update.
Yes. This guy has to surely be put away until he rots. That's what he deserves.
Well, he has to go before a jury, I assume. I don't know. And she's already gone down for the murder of
Ryan. Because she shot Ryan. Oh my God, Geordie, what a fucking story. That guy, I know I've said this before, he needs to go to prison and he can suck a dick in jail because what he did was take the mother. He killed the mother of his child. A woman he presumably loved at some point because they were married. And this child will grow up with no mother.
To me, it was shades of Teacher's Pet a little bit because of the whole planning, including the nanny, and then trying to get away with some ridiculous caper, which takes 2 people's lives, but also, like you said, the mother of his child. Just ask for a fucking divorce, guys.
He didn't want to have to give any money away. The other thing too here, the lesson is never get a pretty nanny. Don't go for a hot 24-year-old Brazilian girl. Like, come on.
Maybe the lesson here is never trust your husband. And I hate to say that because I trust mine. I'm sure he might be a bit of a handful when it comes to the dad jokes. If we had a nanny, I would probably have to let them go because of that alone. I'm sorry, this is getting too much. My husband cannot stop with the awful jokes.
With the dad joke.
And it's making you feel, he's creepy. I know. It's making you feel uncomfortable. Time to move on. I'll get Mrs. Doubtfire in.
Oh my God. But that's it, isn't it? Mrs. Doubtfire is the perfect nanny. You don't want anyone young. You don't want anyone pretty. You just want...
Your husband dressed as a woman.
Yeah.
Your ex is dressed as a woman, which is actually what Mrs. Doubtfire is, Michelle. Don't forget.
I know, that is true. Well, there you go. You brought the laughs at the end of a terrible story, Geordie.
I know. 2 terrible stories full of shock and horror.
Exactly.
Apologies for that, dear eavesdroppers, but we're good for a bit of comedy here and there. Not laughing at, and not even laughing with.
No.
Just laughing.
Sorry if anyone was disturbed by the Tristate Crematory scandal. It was awful what they do with those bodies.
But I guess if you want to know more, you know where to find the podcast.
Yes, it's called Noble because it was set in the town of Noble.
Oh, I see. I wondered.
Yes, Noble is the town.
And I'd love to know what happened to that poor guy. Is his name Brent?
He's a pastor.
He's still a pastor?
He is a pastor.
He is a pastor.
He's a creepy pastor. No, he's a pastor and he just lives a quiet life. And It seems like everyone's forgiven him because I think they realised...
They understood.
He was a good guy who just fucked up, And it happens. It happens.
Happens to us all, doesn't it?
It does.
Touch wood. I hope it doesn't happen to me.
I am touching wood.
Or you, yeah. Well, listen, Michelle, I think we've come to the end of the road for this week's episode.
Yes.
And you know what we have to do next. It's the thing we do every week.
Yes. We bid you adieu. And then we say, wherever you are.
Or whatever you do. Just keep
eavesdropping.
Eavesdropping. Eavesdropping. Eavesdropping. Eavesdropping.